From the DCEU's absolute lack of direction, to finally a future where we may see Aquaman, here's why Jason Momoa thinks Aquaman will absolutely be involved in the future of the DCU. Starting with how Jason Momoa isn't worried at all about the future of his character. After James Gunn and Peter Safran took over DC, the future of current DCEU characters is uncertain. But Aquaman star Jason Momoa isn't worried about it. Momoa shared that he's sure that the King of the Seven Seas will be a part of the future plans for the DCU. Momoa also said that Safran is a producer on the upcoming Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and he called the new co-CEO of DC Studios a dear friend. That can only be a good sign for him in the long run. He continued by claiming that Gunn and Safran will make one of his dreams come true shortly after the big DC news last year. Still, it's unclear what dream Momoa was talking about. It sounded like the meeting that he had with the executives about his character went super well, though. But there's good reason to think that Momoa might be onto something. Before Jason Momoa and the DCEU, Aquaman was a joke. I'm talking about before Zack Snyder gave Momoa an appearance as Aquaman in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Back then, the most well-known version of the character was the one from the animated TV show Super Friends. Between 1973 and 1985, there were 9 seasons of the cartoon. Aquaman's most famous trait was that he could talk to fish, which became a running joke. He became a joke mainly because of how much people liked the show. That was until Momoa took over. His first test for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was for the part of Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck ended up getting the part of Batman. But Snyder liked Momoa's interview so much that he gave the actor the chance to play Aquaman, and made the character fit Momoa's style and skills. Suddenly, the Aquaman who talked to fish and turned into a joke was gone. Then, the cool version of the character from the DCEU took his place. Momoa would solidify Aquaman as a tough and physically strong hero in both Justice League and the hero's own movie. Even with all the chaos going on in the franchise right now, with everything James Gunn has planned, this character might be safe from the changes. Aquaman has the best future of all the Justice League heroes in the DCEU. At the moment, Momoa's the only member of the DCEU's Justice League who's got a definite role in the new DC universe. Gunn has stated earlier as well that Momoa would have a part in the DC universe. And the actor's latest comment about Aquaman shows that his version of the character has a bright future. Momoa's future as Aquaman in DC looks good, but some of his Justice League co-stars don't have the same luck. In Gunn's DC universe, both Batman and Superman are getting new starts. It's obvious when you notice that the first person to be changed was Henry Cavill. Gunn even said that a younger version of Clark Kent will be the main character in Superman Legacy, which he's writing and directing. It's not just Superman, though. The Brave and the Bold, which stars Bruce Wayne's son Damian Wayne, will start over with Batman. The fate of other characters are unclear right now, and they could still go either way. Aquaman was a running joke for a long time, which made him the hardest character for DC to get right. In the end, though, he might have the best future of all the Justice League members. Of course, that doesn't mean the transition will go smoothly. James Gunn's plans to reset will make it hard to answer some DCU canon questions. The fact that James Gunn's plan for a DC reset could involve both current and future franchises, and the recasting of key parts shows how complicated the DCU's future could be. From what we know so far, the only project that's definitely part of the series is the Superman reboot movie that Gunn's writing. It'll be about a younger version of Clark Kent, and the role will be played by a different actor. This choice alone has huge effects on what else could or should be a part of the new DCU storyline. Most of the important figures in the DCEU have interacted with or are connected to Henry Cavill's Superman in some way. The general public will be very confused if the DCU gets a new Superman character and keeps Jason Momoa as Aquaman or Zachary Levi as Shazam. Henry Cavill's known as the Superman who talked to Aquaman and Flash, and his Superman suit was even used in the movie Shazam. It'll be hard for James Gunn to explain a new Superman actor and change his DCU past without a multiverse-style reset that keeps some key characters and actors, yet recasts others. These are all problems that need to be fixed. Gunn and Safran have shown that they aren't afraid to make shocking choices, like recasting Superman or not including Dwayne Johnson in their plans. But it'll be hard to make sense of the DCU canon. It won't be easy to decide if Aquaman, Shazam, Blue Beetle, and Peacemaker will stay part of the DCU in the future. That means the Superman-centered narrative also points to another major problem in this brand new DCU. The DCEU's lack of direction was shown by Henry Cavill's Superman. The way the DCEU treats Henry Cavill's Superman is a great example of the lack of direction in the franchise. Man of Steel started out strong, with Henry Cavill's Superman taking the lead role. People were happy to see the character come back for a sequel. But Man of Steel 2 was changed into Batman v Superman, instead of giving Cavill's Superman more time to grow on his own. The movie also had to set up the rest of the Justice League, so Superman had to compete for attention in his own story. Joss Whedon's Justice League finally wrapped up Superman's storyline, but this brought its own problems. People used to say that Cavill's Superman was too serious and gritty, and that he didn't show enough of the character's hope and positivity. That's why they decided to revamp this character up a bit. And it might not have been a bad idea, but it also showed some confusion with how to approach the franchise. So, Justice League Superman is a very different version of the character with a lot more smiles and funny lines. This change makes Henry Cavill's Superman seem different from how he was first portrayed, which is a problem with the rest of the movie cut of Justice League as well. Henry Cavill's Superman was shown in Zack Snyder's Justice League more like he was in the other movies, but the character was still probably underused. The Snyder Cut brought more attention to the problems with the Justice League's movie cut, and made many of us sad that the Snyderverse was coming to an end. Cavill was finally convinced to come back in Black Adam, but not long after, he was kicked out of the DCU. Sure, the character might go on, and there's a chance that he might actually still be loved, but it'll definitely change how loyal fans felt about the same old characters. Henry Cavill's Superman has been at the center of the DCEU's chaos more than anyone else. Up until now, the DCU has been a mess, but movies that come after this one can learn from it. And that's all for why Jason Momoa thinks Aquaman will absolutely be involved in DCU's future.